The first time I saw my husband kiss another woman, I was standing under the arrival board at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport with a paper cup of coffee cooling in my hand and my parents' flight blinking on the screen above me. I had not gone there to catch him. That was what made it almost insulting. I was there because my mother had texted the night before and said, "Your father and I are coming up for a few days. We miss you. Your dad says he wants to see the city again." My father hated airports. My mother hated feeling like a burden. So when they decided to fly from Bend to Seattle, I knew they were either homesick, worried, or both. I was 37 then, an internal controls manager at a maritime finance company near Elliott Bay. My job was finding the difference between what people reported and what the numbers proved. I could spot a buried discrepancy inside a 70-page reconciliation before most people finished their coffee. At work, that made me valuable. At home, it made me inconvenient. My husband, Caleb Mercer, owned 3 upscale furniture showrooms and a leased fulfillment space in Tukwila. To everyone else, he looked polished, ambitious, almost magnetic. He wore expensive coats, spoke in future tense, and made collapsing plans sound like expansion. But I had lived close enough to hear the late-night bank calls, the supplier arguments, the silence after he closed his laptop too quickly. That week, he was supposedly in Portland meeting a manufacturer. 2 days, maybe 4, he had said, kissing my cheek like he was checking off a task. So when I saw him at SeaTac, standing near the far glass doors with a tall woman in a cream leather jacket, my mind did not understand it immediately. Then he took her overnight bag from her hand. Then she laughed. Then he kissed her. Not on the cheek, not by accident, on the mouth, with the ease of habit. I did not move. My coffee did not shake. I watched my husband, who was supposed to be negotiating inventory out of state, lead a woman I had never seen before, toward the rideshare exit. A hand settled on my shoulder. "Marina," my father said. Just my name. Low, steady, controlled. I turned and saw Gideon Vale standing behind me, still straight-backed at 71, still carrying that calm authority he had brought home every night from 30 years in municipal development and finance. Beside him stood my mother, Elaine, small and careful in her camel coat, her face already full of the grief I had not allowed myself to feel. My father had seen everything. He looked past me, toward Caleb disappearing through the sliding doors. "If you walk up to him now," he said quietly, "he'll call her a colleague, then he'll call you emotional, then he'll own the story before you even understand what happened." My throat tightened. My father's hand stayed firm. "We don't give men like that a scene," he said. "We give them documentation." That was my father. No thunder, no wasted motion, just the clean click of a decision locking into place. We left through another exit. In the parking garage, under a flickering fluorescent tube, my mother asked, "Did you know?" "No," I said, and it was true. I had suspected stress, distance, late nights, maybe resentment, but not this. Or maybe I had known enough and chosen not to ask the final question because I was afraid of the answer. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. "Caleb. Long dinner with the Portland team. Morning meeting tomorrow. Miss you." I read it once, put the phone in my purse, and kept driving. The next morning, my father sat across from me at the kitchen island with his coffee untouched. "The condo is in your name only?" he asked. "Yes." "Gifted before the marriage?" "Yes." "His name on title, mortgage, power of attorney? Anything?" "No." "Have you signed anything for his business?" "No." "He's tried. A joint loan, a home equity line, a bridge arrangement." I kept saying I wanted independent advice first. For the first time since the airport, my father exhaled. "That delay may have saved you." Within 24 hours, he brought in Owen Barlow, an old colleague who did private financial risk work for lenders and distressed companies. Owen arrived with a gray folder and the expression of a man who preferred facts, because facts did not ask to be comforted. He laid Caleb's business across my dining table in pages. 3 stores on paper, a brand story on Instagram. In reality, overdue supplier invoices, maxed credit, lease terms about to reset, and an investor being courted as if he were a rescue boat instead of a stranger doing due diligence. "This is not a rough quarter," Owen said. "This is a business paying yesterday's fire with tomorrow's gasoline." My father asked, "Does Caleb know?" Owen looked at me. "He knows. The question is who he planned to use as collateral when the last door closed." The room went silent, and suddenly every conversation Caleb had pushed over the past year rearranged itself in my mind. Consolidating assets, being a team, the condo equity just sitting there, my excellent credit, my stable salary, my parents' old gifts, my jewelry. It had never been clumsy vulnerability. It had been a sequence. My father did not raise his voice. "You act normal. You sign nothing. You do not tell him what you saw. We let reality reach the people he has been misleading." "Is that legal?" I asked. Owen nodded. "No threats, no lies, no pressure, just accurate risk reaching people with the right to know." Caleb came home 2 days later, cheerful, carrying his leather bag like a man returning from triumph. "I missed you," he said. "You must be tired," I answered. I let him hug me. It was easier than I expected, because I was not looking at him as my husband anymore. I was looking at him as an exposure risk. For the next 4 weeks, I became very good at silence. Caleb mentioned cash flow as if it were weather. He mentioned delays, as if delay was not a form of drowning. He told me things were turning around, while his fingers twitched over his phone at midnight. Meanwhile, Owen worked quietly. A supplier was advised to request updated audited financials before extending fresh terms. They did. What they found made them demand 40% upfront on the next shipment. The Tukwila landlord advanced the lease conversation and removed the discounted rate Caleb had been depending on. The investor ordered a more serious audit. That audit found exactly what truth always finds when someone stops decorating it: debt cycling, weak revenue, no reserves, and catastrophic dependency on new money. Then the investor walked away. No drama, just an email. Caleb changed after that. At first, he tried softness. "We've never really acted like a financial unit," he said one night over dinner. "We are married," I replied. "That doesn't make me a lender." 3 days later, he needed me to co-sign a refinancing package. "Purely technical," he said. "No." A week after that, he brought out the condo. The pitch was polished, patient, almost beautiful in its dishonesty. A 6-month bridge loan, temporary lien, clean exit, fresh inventory, restart. I listened until he finished. "The condo is not available to your business," I said. His face tightened. "You're talking like we're strangers." "I'm talking like someone who reads documents before signing them." He paced the living room while I sat with a magazine open in my lap. I had learned something by then. Some men do not want agreement. They want an emotional reaction they can use as evidence against you. So I gave him nothing. Then the bank pulled his business line of credit. That evening, Caleb came home and dropped his keys so hard they skidded across the entry floor. He sat on the sofa without taking off his coat. "The bank killed the line," he said. "I understand." His head snapped up. "That's it? What do you want me to say?" "I need the condo." "No." "Marina, I need capital." "No." "You're my wife," he shouted. "You don't get to stand there and watch everything I built collapse." "I didn't build it," I said. "And it didn't start collapsing today." He went still. For 1 second, I saw it on his face. Fear, not grief, not regret. Fear that I knew too much. Then the mask dropped completely. "Fine," he said. "Then we use your savings. Sell the jewelry your parents gave you. What's the safe code again?" That was the moment my marriage ended inside me. Not at the airport, not during the investigation, not even when I saw him kiss her. It ended when he reduced 7 years to a liquidation plan. I looked at him and felt no wave of grief, only clarity. "Okay," I said. "I hear you." I walked into the kitchen and texted my father. "It's time." The next morning, I met with a divorce attorney named Priya Anand, a woman with sharp eyes, a navy suit, and no interest in emotional theater. She reviewed my deed, gift documents, tax records, and business exposure. The condo is separate property, she said. No commingling, no guarantees signed. Clean position. How fast can you file? 48 hours. Do it. On Tuesday morning, I walked into her office and received a folder. Petition for dissolution of marriage, property documents, court stamp, everything tabbed and precise. 7 years fit into half an inch of paper. That evening, my father came with me to the condo. Caleb was in the kitchen, staring at his phone when I opened the door. He looked up, saw my father behind me, and immediately understood that something had shifted. "Gideon," he said, "didn't know you were in town." "I know," my father replied. He walked into the living room and sat by the window. I stayed across the kitchen island from Caleb. "We need to talk," I said. His jaw flexed. "Then, talk. I know about SeaTac. I was there. I saw you with the woman in the cream jacket." He froze for less than a second, then recovered. "She's a colleague. You kissed her in arrivals. You carried her bag. You left with her." My parents were standing beside me. Silence. "Her name is Brielle Hart," I said. "She worked at your North showroom, and I know it has been going on longer than that trip." His phone lay face up on the counter. He did not touch it. "I also know about the suppliers, the landlord, the investor, the bank, and every attempt you made to turn my condo, my credit, my salary, and my parents' gifts into a rescue package for your failing company." "Marina, I'm not finished." His mouth closed. "I filed for divorce this morning. This condo is my separate property. You are going to pack what you need and leave within the hour. If you refuse, my attorney will request exclusive possession, and you can explain to a sheriff why you are still here." For a moment, he looked almost unfamiliar, not powerful, not charming, just cornered. "You planned this," he hissed. "The supplier, the landlord, the investor. Your father sabotaged me." From the living room, my father said, "Prove it." Quietly, almost gently. Caleb turned toward him, furious, but there was nowhere for the fury to go. No one had lied about him. No one had stolen from him. No one had manufactured his debt. The world had simply stopped mistaking his performance for stability. He packed in violent, uneven movements, clothes into a duffel, files from the office, razors from the bathroom, chargers, shoes, cufflinks, the expensive coat he used to wear when he wanted people to believe he was inevitable. I sat on the sofa with a book open, not reading a word. When he reached the door, he turned back. "You think you won?" "No," I said. "I think I protected what was mine." He left. The door clicked shut. For several minutes, the condo was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator hum. Then my mother arrived with the spare key. She put the kettle on. My father asked if I had decent bread. My mother checked the fridge, and somehow, the most brutal chapter of my adult life ended with tea, sandwiches, and the Seattle skyline turning gold beyond the glass. In the weeks that followed, Caleb's business did exactly what Owen predicted. One supplier sued, another halted shipments, 2 showrooms closed, the warehouse lease collapsed. The 3rd store lasted only long enough to liquidate inventory at a loss. Brielle disappeared before the final closure. A month later, someone sent me a screenshot of her on a sailboat near Bainbridge Island, smiling beside a different older man in a linen blazer. I deleted it. Caleb texted at first. Blame, bargaining, rage. Then nothing. All communication went through attorneys. The divorce was finalized without trial. The condo remained mine. His business had no value to divide, only liabilities. He kept his leased car. I kept the furniture, the windows, the quiet. After the final hearing, I stood on the courthouse steps beside my parents. The October air was bright and clean, the kind of cold that makes everything feel honest. "It's done," I said. My mother squeezed my hand. "It's done." My father did not say much. He simply stood beside me, the same way he had at the airport, steady and unshakable. Only then did I understand what he had done. It had never been revenge. It was protection. He had not destroyed Caleb. He had only removed my trust from the list of things Caleb was allowed to spend. That evening, I went home alone. I unlocked my own door, stepped into my own living room, and stood there for a long time. The condo was quiet, not tense, not waiting, not full of someone else's lies, just quiet. And for the first time in years, the quiet belonged entirely to me.